Hey, good morning. How's it going out there, everybody? My name is Jeff Fritz. It's June 22nd, 2018, and I'm back for another live stream. I've got my favorite Penn State hat on today. I, of course, went to Pennsylvania State University. Let's get some music playing in the background here. I'm going to dial up some music to code by from our friend Carl Franklin. And you know what? I'm going to go back to blue. This is old favorite, one that I like to play a lot. It's a little bit hot there. Let me turn that down a smidge so we get some nice background music. There we go. And of course, music to code by. This is music that's designed to get us in the groove, to get us focused, so that we can write code or whatever task it might be a little bit better, a little bit faster. New MTCB track out on the app, and it's cool, says S&B. Absolutely. He's doing a great job over there, my friend Carl Franklin. Check out the app Music to Flow By, and you'll be able to get great new music every month. I'm a big fan of what he's doing over there, and I want to thank Carl for letting us play some of his music in the background here while we're writing code together. Alright, you know what, I think I still want to turn that down just a smidge. There we go. 16 tracks now. Awesome, that's great. Brave Cobra asks, any plans on streaming through YouTube? I'm about to research the API in the coming weeks. Audio is a bit low? Maybe we will bump it up a little bit. How we doing? Is that better? My mic's a little bit low. How we doing? How we doing now? We got some coffee, some .NET bot, and a big thumbs up from McNerdius. Awesome. But streaming through YouTube, I'm not. I really doubt that I will be streaming through YouTube. My the audio's doing better. Awesome. I'm getting a lot more opportunities for things here on Twitch. I think there's a great ecosystem that we have going here. The programming community here on Twitch is growing. All on max and still low volume. I am topped out here on my mic. Let's see here. Do I have my... Let's just touch on this. No, we're on my podcaster mic. There we go. Is that a little bit better? Audio's fine over here. All right. Let me know. I think I've got that. I'm in the red over here on my meters. So let me know. I think that's a little bit better. For some reason, the levels here in I think Skype plays with the levels on a PC. Even though I tell it not to auto set the levels on my mic, I think it's tinkering with it somehow. Because in the background, I like to keep my level for my microphone at 95, and it was down at 76. So if the gain's off, everything else is going to be off. All right, having to turn the audio down now. Okay. So latency in YouTube are like 20 to 30 seconds, not that great for interacting with the viewers. And I have, as an affiliate here on Twitch, I have low latency mode turned on. I'm not yet a partner on Twitch, so they won't commit to always do the transcoding for me, right? But I try to broadcast here at high def, so at the very least you'll get a recording afterwards that's completely high def. But thanks to some of our new followers over there, Mapawk is at Mapox, Dario.net, Isris, thank you so much for the follows. And I think we are really close to 2,600 followers. That's amazing. Good morning, Aaron and Cincy. I see a bunch of our friends here. Thanks for the host dev chatter. And of course, we're now also broadcasting over on the Visual Studio channel. I want you guys to, everybody, I say guys, but I want everybody to know that the Visual Studio channel here on Twitch is ramping up. We're working on putting together some really cool content there, not just coding, right? I'm here writing code. We talked to some friends. I had Rachel Appel on yesterday, but I want to make sure that that Visual Studio channel, as we're building it up, has more cool tech things. You're on a 29-second delay. Oh my gosh. I want to make sure that if we are going to do a real channel here, thank you Spark H9 for the follow. If we are going to do a channel for Visual Studio, that we have some other cool, compelling content that isn't just people writing code, people talking about code. Let's do some other really cool things. You know what I found, Smab? I use, when I'm watching Twitch, I use the desktop app or the mobile app, because I find that in the browser, Firefox, Edge, Chrome, they just devour memory, and the performance of the video player in the browser is just brutal. It just eats memory for lunch, and refuses to release. 1 week latency. Wow, Brave Cobra. So let me tell you what happened last week. That's a problem. Dark Jeepers. Penn State, of course, with the "We Are" chant there. Of course, thank you. Marshall. I don't know. Partly being in the UK, partly my really bad broadband speeds. Even if you had bad broadband, it shouldn't be that bad of a latency. All right. Oh my gosh, Richard J. Harding, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you joining us here on the stream, and I look forward to seeing all of our friends that are following in the chat room. We're always there, ready to chat, talk to you, answer questions. Visual Studio plugin delay, or what were you guys talking about? Oh, hey, Fubarius. No, we're talking about latency in the stream. So, I think music levels are all good here, and it's weird. I do have to change and figure out exactly how to reset my levels when I go from an interview show, pair programming with a friend, back to just Jeff coding together with you. All right, I'm keeping an eye over here on Twitter. Things are looking good, and all right, everything looks fine and stable going out on Twitch. So it's Friday, and that means, of course, it's F# Friday. So we're gonna write some F# code together today, and there we go. We're gonna have some we're gonna have a good time with this. So the story goes, I'm learning F#. I want to learn more about F#, and we spent a couple weeks going through the F# tutorial on the docs. We spent some time last week talking about what would be a cool, fun project to work on together here on the stream that involves F# and kind of helps drive some of the projects, some of the features that we work on here on the stream. And I think we've got a good idea of where to go with this. So let me go over here, and there's my GitHub page. We started a, let me see, F# learning repository here, and I wanted to put together just a couple of small projects to build up to a more complete solution that we wanted to learn together. I'm going to leave this repository open, and I'm going to wander over. I think it was in my Stream Tools repository over here. So we have this GitHub Scoreboard that goes across the top of the page. And we'll see it here in just a minute when I go over to the full screen. But we started with, here it is. We started with this idea of, let's put together 5 basic steps to get to building this complete solution where that GitHub ticker that you see up at the top really can be loaded as commits happen, right? The ticker shows contributions from folks in the community that are working with some of our projects. And I might have an announcement about CoreWiki tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. But tune in tomorrow and I'll let you know what's going on with that. But the idea is, if you submit a commit to one of the projects we work on here on stream, you submit a pull request, I want to recognize that, and we'll put it in that ticker up at the top. Thank you for the follow, Zaka Luca, too. I look forward to seeing you in the chat room. So the ticker shows, folks who have committed, and I want to celebrate your contributions. Garcia TX, I'm guessing Garcia in Texas? I'm a new viewer here. How long have I been in the industry? How about .NET? I've been a programmer in the industry since before 2000. I've been working with .NET since it was released, and I'm actually a member of the .NET team. I'm on the community team, helping to build video content, make it easier for folks to learn about .NET, and plan events, speak at events around the world to help folks learn more about .NET, Visual Studio, learn to be a good programmer. This should be something that anybody who's interested in should be able to learn, and that's why I do things like this stream. A developer from the previous century. Yes. So you see the event, my little event slideshow over there. Developer Week. Next week I'll be in Germany. I have a keynote on Monday morning. I have chunks of that done. I now need to assemble it so it's a good story. But that keynote we're going to be giving on Monday morning, I don't think it'll be streamed, but we'll see what we can do with that. Tuesday next week I won't be online. I'm going to need to take Tuesday off because I'm actually flying home during that time. So I hope that answers your questions, Garcia. Let me know. Stream it from the podium. I don't think I'll be able to do that. Good morning, C17 and Ragas1986. Good to see you. Tagaron with the bot. Cool. All right, great. So I'm breaking down this task of maintaining the data for that ticker, right? That ticker right now is it's loaded directly from GitHub, and I do a 1 minute check every 1 minute. Every minute. Speaking, I can do this. I check GitHub to see if one of our repositories has new data for us. Is the talk public? It's as part of Developer Week. I don't know. I don't know the details. But I do know they're recording it and it will be published later. So yeah, I'll be in Nuremberg for that. Okay, so I want to take that ticker up at the top and I want to simplify it. Instead of hitting GitHub once a minute and loading data, we can turn around and we can use a tool that's available called WebHooks. And we can use the webhook. I have one here that'll deploy to Discord. It'll notify when there's a change in this project. But I can add a webhook. And I can log in with my password here. Ostad, thank you for the follow. I look forward to seeing you in the chat room. Yeah, I've acknowledged Steve more than 2,500 times here on stream. That's a lot. So what I can do is I can actually have GitHub tell me when the repository changes and do something with it. So my idea here with this is let's use a GitHub webhook to send a notification to an Azure function. Have that Azure function update a data store with the appropriate information about when the commit happened, who made the commit, how many commits came in with it, so that we can update and build our ticker with less mining data from GitHub, but with data that's been sent over to us that's more appropriate for our needs. And then we don't end up having to hit the service, the GitHub service, all the time. Right? I don't have to have something out there polling. I can have something that just queries a database out there on Azure and loads up the data for me. Let's see here. Hey, Justin. The first real app I created was a 4040 cross assembler written on my Amiga in C. It was a real pain for the customer to compile it on the PC due to the 16-bit paging on DOS. Nuremberg is on the opposite side of Germany for me. All right, push versus pull, much nicer. Exactly. So, that's where we're going to go. I think this makes a lot more sense. And the work that we did yesterday with Rachel, when we get data loaded into the database, after we do that save to the database, we'll be able to fire the same notification information that we were working on with Rachel to force the refresh of the data on the ticker. Still have your Amiga 1000. Wow. Okay. That's pretty impressive there, Smab. Is that still in production? Oh, it's a question for Jobot. Okay. So this is where I think we want to start here. Now, I don't want the webhook in Stream Tools. I want to create the webhook on my F# learning repository. Now, last week, if you tuned in, we walked through and I figured out, I learned how to write a little bit of F# to just using Entity Framework right to a database, right to SQLite. For this process, I think we're going to receive the webhook on an Azure function, parse it, and update in a SQL Server data store. So, right, so then I have my data in a normal SQL database. I think I want a normal SQL database. What do you think, chat room? Should I use SQL database? I don't care if it's MySQL, Postgres, or SQL Server. Akin Bender, or is it Akin Bender? Thank you for the follow. Or should I use something NoSQL-ish? For this type of reporting that I'm going to be doing, I think a SQL database works nicely for this. And actually, instead of reload directly from the data store here, maybe I set up, maybe I recalculate the statistics and stash them somewhere so that it's literally just a select that I'm doing from an API or some endpoint. MSSQL Maker Blaker suggests. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to mispronounce. No big data, so no need for NoSQL. I kind of agree with that, EM Triple. Playing with web APIs and Firebase stuff myself currently. Oh, cool. So, Spazi. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Most of the auth using Firebase's JOT token authentication, then using a load of HTTP context to get the active user. Ooh. Gets messy when trying to write external tests that use the API. I thought about essentially making a second basic auth login for this that doesn't expire once an hour. Yeah, that feels kind of like you're chasing things. But I agree, no big data need, so no SQL. Thought about something like Redis. Well, and that's what I was thinking, Spazi, is do I use something like Redis to just write out, here's the current values that we should show in the ticker. Do it! Okay, I guess I will install Git for Windows. Who knew? While I'm talking to you, we'll let Git install here in the background. Reporting from NoSQL is usually a pain. I agree, but I think if we... I got the admin screen there. Do you want to install this? No. Yeah, sure, give me large file support. Check daily for Git updates. Sure, let it go. Alright, do the thing. Yes, we have to use Vim. I love Vim. Use Git from the command prompt, sure. OpenSSL is fine. Check out Windows style, commit Unix style. Windows default console window. What did I miss there? Yep. That's fine. Go. All right. Yeah. So my thinking with Redis is if I just save the pre-calculated state, then I can just fetch from Redis, and then I can learn a little bit about Redis as well. So, Bender says, "Hey, Mr. Fritz, a student developer from Berlin. Ah, guten Nachmittag. Wish that you come to Berlin instead of Nuremberg. You know what? If I was asked, I would certainly visit Berlin. I was actually asked to do a road trip, Berlin, Munich, and Zurich in late July. Unfortunately, it conflicts with some family plans, so I'm not able to do it, but I'm looking at possibility for a fall trip. So I think just got a message from the wife. So I think there's an opportunity for something in October, November. We'll see what happens. I think there's some talk there, and we'll see what happens. I'm excited about the possibility of that. Why not put the user data into the jot? Okay, that's talking to somebody else. Is durability important? Redis doesn't really do that. No, it doesn't. But how frequently am I fetching that data? You know, if I pre-calculate it and save it to disk, it should be all right. What will trigger a notification when a change to database occurs? That's a good question, EM Triple. And I think, right, I want to do this here. I want to try using SignalR service to send a notification that'll pull off and update the ticker that we see up here. All right. Let's see. Basically, you want OLAP queries on the messages from GitHub. Exactly, Brave Cobra. That sounds so enterprisey, though. All right. Hey, Mr. Regs. Okay. Just taking a look, making sure everything, because I'm about to focus on some code. I just want to double check the state of everything. We've got everybody happy. But that's where I am going to end up, is OLAP queries against GitHub data. All right. I think we're ready to do this. OLAP. Yeah, OLAP. OLAP. Online Analytical Processing. Right? Multi-dimensional analytical queries. Right? We can't query Git data directly. Right? There's some folks have written things to make Git Git repositories a database, and that's kind of weird. That's using, I mean, that's great. You get, historical data saved with inherently using Git, but it feels kind of weird using a Git file system source control as a database, right? And I've seen where people use JSON files that they commit in Git. Those are your individual tables, right? And then when you query it, you're opening that JSON file and you're reading the data out of it. So that's kind of interesting. OLAP versus OLTP. Right, so OLTP is online transaction processing. I'm not doing transaction processing here. I'm querying a reporting database. Is really what we're building. Didn't realize they had support now. Yeah. All right. So I think, so if we update a local data store, I'm not sure if we need a, we'll figure this one out as we go along. But I want to start on this one, parsing the notifications on an Azure function. Plain SQL queries. Yeah. I think you're also doing more inserting and updating. It's more CRUD types of things. I want to do more OLAP, where I'm going to do, right, multi-dimensional. I would prefer to do multi-dimensional queries, and I'm going to simplify that by flattening things out into a reporting database. Or even I could do it in reporting tables in SQL Server. New stream stuff. All right. Let's go over to the Azure portal. I'm going to back out here to this view while I go and log on to Azure. Get this all set up. Azure logo, here it comes. And stuff. All right. So I actually have another dashboard here for stuff on the stream. Cool. So I think SQL integration services and reporting services, that is over the top. I'm not going quite that far. Although if I did put stuff right when I do put stuff in the SQL database, I could Power BI on that and do all kinds of neat stuff. Go away. I don't need to see that. All right. Let's create. Right, here's all the resource utilization from my blog, which I haven't updated in a while and I need to do something about. So let's start creating an Azure function. It's not here. Function? There we go. All right, so let's create a function app. Power BI would be nice to see once on stream. I agree, Brave Cobra, and I have a friend. She does a bit of Power BI work in the Seattle area. I'm thinking about asking her to join us on stream and walk through and do some Power BI stuff. And if I start getting the Git data collected, so I've got some information out there, that might be interesting. But wait a sec. Hang on. If I'm collecting GitHub data and putting it out there, I'm going to run into a GDPR thing, aren't I? Aren't I? I might need to put some sort of a privacy statement in these repositories. Oh man. We won't tell. Yeah, right? Man. Alright, so I need to create a new function app. Yeah. Function app. What's a functions bot? I don't know. Alright. So we'll get this kicked off. Right, I clicked create. Great. Do it. Make it. Go. Alright, app name. I will call this, and I'm going to leave it kind of off like this so that you can't really see what's going on here. Isn't the ticker already a GDPR violation? That's what I'm now wondering, Brave Cobra, and you might, I would, time for a lawyer. Oh, stop it. Yeah, I think I need some privacy in the repository MD, some privacy information. Crap. Privacy policy. Yeah. I need a. No. Privacy policy. I need a. Give me a boilerplate one. But GDPR is Europe only. It's, well, Neurocoder, it's enforced in Europe only. But if you do anything over the internet that European people can touch, you're responsible. Doesn't matter if you're in the United States, if you're in Australia, if you're in Africa.
But what I do have are
the Europeans
particular set of skills.
Have a very particular set of skills
I've acquired over a very long career.
They will find you, and they will kill you. So we need to take care of that. Privacy policy. Boilerplate. Privacy and security are important. We recognize and respect your need for privacy and security when you visit or view any of our page, blah, blah, blah. All right. So I'm going to start... No! I'm going to start with something... like this. Ugh. I hate having to do this. I'm going to put this in contributing. Don't I have a contributing doc? I don't have a contributing doc. IP block Europe. No, that doesn't work, Neurocoder. Time for Sela. Ah, there's somebody who has a Microsoft reference. Who cares about the GDPR stuff? It's just apps for learning, not production. Doesn't matter. That ticker that shows people's names and how much they've contributed. Copy one from one of your other repos. Yeah, I have a contributing out here. I think I have one in CoreWiki. Or not? I thought I had it contributing over here. There it is. Our standards, our responsibilities, attribution, contributor covenant. I think I need to put privacy in here. Yeah, it is. It is a good idea to keep it in. It's the same information in the repository, the username. Yeah, but so even with GitHub, there's the ability to, there's the right to be forgotten. So if you were to go to GitHub and say, forget me, it'll remove references to you, but your username will still be in some of the commits. GDPR checklist.io. I don't want this to be the GDPR show, but look at this. Yeah, I get it. I determine why data is processed. I store or process data for someone else. Yeah, that's me. Ugh. Your company has a list of types of personal information it holds, the source of that information, who you share it with, what you do with it, and how long you keep it. As a list of places where it keeps personal information. Well, this isn't personal information. Oh, I've got to switch scenes. You're right now. Sorry. I got to go back to this now. Now that while I'm not in Azure and configuring things with keys and the like. Your company has a publicly accessible privacy policy that outlines all processes related to personal data. Well, this isn't personal data. I might be okay because this isn't personal data. Should include a lawful basis to explain why the company needs to process personal information. It's not personal information. I might be okay here. Your Git name is personal data and identifies you. Icons, thank you for the subscription. I really appreciate that. We'll match that subscription and make a donation to our friends at Girl Develop It. Thanks so much for that. More F#. Yeah, you know what? Let me come back to this. Let's stay here, but I'm going to close this. And I need to, yeah, leave that. I'm going to take an action item here. Come on. GDPR privacy policy. Need a... Thank you, Tommy, for following. Need a privacy policy entry in my repositories that are showing commit data on the GitHub ticker. I hate doing that. It's going to take time to do it right. Yeah, it is. And the problem that I have is this is right. You're clearly opting in by doing a commit. And if I were to get a European right to forget, and I'm discussing your commit, and I'm showing your commit here on stream, you've clearly opted in to this. And you know that it's going to be sticking around, and for me to say, well, I've got to delete a show because of that. I feed on mid. There's somebody who plays some League. Thank you for the follow. Do we really need to go through this? Yeah, I'm going to back off on this for right now. Let's go back over here. All right. So I will call this, let's call this GitHub Processing. Cool. All right. Yeah, I'll make it Windows. I have an existing resource group that I use here for my streaming stuff. Gosh, I've got a whole bunch of crap in here that I just haven't worked on in a while. Or I deleted. It was a demo, and I just left it out there. Consumption plan, that's fine. Location, I'd like East US, thank you, because that's where I am. Storage, yeah, that's fine. Create a new storage. Application insights, whatever, that's fine. Do it, create it. It's in your videos already. I'm waiting for someone to request they get removed from the ticker in all of them. Yeah, I know. That's not going to happen, right? I mean, that's why I think I need to kind of declare that if you make a commit here, it's going to be part of the show. It's something that you're going to be part of. And that's why, Brave Cobra, I agree. I think I need to state that in the repos. So I'll talk to some of my legal friends and make sure that I get that squared away. All right. Where'd my app go? It's here somewhere. Here it is. I do like the kind of mosaic nature of this, where I can kind of move things around and create my dashboard the way that I need it to be. So it has my data where I want it to. Yeah, I'm done customizing. Give me the notification that's done. Half of Microsoft. People write or call into TV shows. It's kind of the same thing. Yeah, it's an opt-in. I think we're okay with... But you opt in by committing the other places that it appears. Like here, you don't necessarily know. So I have a URL now, GitHub Processing Azure Websites.net. And we're going to end up writing a function here. So webhook plus API, and I'll write it not in C#, F#. And then eventually we'll do some data processing. I don't want to do a timer, but I'm receiving a webhook. What do you mean, Brave Cobra, that's half of Microsoft? I don't understand. All right, let's see, what do we got here? The lawyers. Oh. No, they're not like that. Not at all. They're a lot nicer than that, trust me. And even then, some of the lawyers that I've worked with they're good folks. They're nice people that mean well, and they're looking out for everybody. Because Microsoft's a big target that people like to come after. All right, so let's understand what the function was that was generated here for us. So open systemnet HTTP, and Newtonsoft JSON. That's, of course, the JSON reader, right? The JSON library, JSON.net that most folks use. All right, so we're declaring a function called run that has a request parameter that's passed in of type HTTP request message, a log parameter passed in that's of type trace writer. I speak the truth. Ain't it the truth? Absolutely. All right. And we're going to log F# HTTP trigger function, processed a request, set name to query string. So let name, so we're declaring a variable called name. On the HTTP request message, get query name value pairs. Okay. We're going to pipe those pairs through a sequence try to find, function of Q yield when Q key equals name. Okay, so we're going to get, so name is going to contain, well, it's the query string name value pair of name and whatever was passed in. Match name with, all right, so here's where I need to learn and start getting into my head a little bit more of the F# piping syntax. So we're doing pattern matching here. So if it matches some X, we don't care exactly what, but it matches something. right? If name is something, return, request, create, response, status okay, hello, and then whatever the value was that came back. Okay, so we're going to end up with a hello world type of scenario. If it doesn't, if name is nothing, now let bang, I'm not familiar with that syntax yet, the let exclamation point. Request content read as string async, async await task. Okay, so it's going to read that string asynchronously, await it. That's interesting. I haven't seen that structure yet. I'm used to C# saying await, do something. This looks like it's doing the await after. Think let exclamation as await. Okay, thank you, Angry Bird. Okay, so this is doing an async process. If not, string is null or empty data, then, so when we do have data, let named equals JSON convert, deserialized object, named, what's named? Okay, that's our type with some sort of string that's in it. Okay, thank you, SMAP. Return request, create response, status okay, hello, named, which is this type here, dot name, whatever the string is. Okay. Otherwise create response, bad request, specify the name value, and we pipe that whole thing async run synchronously. Okay. I think I get that. So there's my logs. So if I were to try running this now, where is it? I thought there was a thing here I could drag this. Oh, there's expand. Cool. So if I were to run this now with a post, posting that JSON block, well, that's not right. I get a 404 not found. That doesn't make sense. If I do this with a get, and on the query, we say name Jeff, run that, I still get a 404 not found. Maybe save it first? We didn't make any changes. Still doesn't do anything. Right? Nothing. It's not doing anything. Yeah, we saved. Turn this back over to post. I mean, it's clearly saying get query name value pairs, right? Which is getting it from the query string. There's an error on the left top. No, that's not an error. That's my search. Right, so here's my functions. There's the actual function. Right, there it is. Run. And I'm getting 404 not found. Huh? I mean, what's the deal? Run FSX. Right? Project JSON. Are you kidding? Function JSON. Okay. But run FSX and go, and it's not doing anything. Yeah. We saved. Passing name Jeff here and passing name Azure down there, and neither one works. I mean, you're kidding, right? I mean, literally we did file new project and it doesn't work. Add header, accept application. I will do that. Still doesn't work. 404 not found. It's clearly deployed. Actually, wait a sec. I'm over here. I guess not. GitHub Processing. Right there. Manage. it's enabled. Right, if I click back to here, there's my website. If I navigate to it, my function is up and running. Yeah, Andres, Azure functions, but I'm having a hard time just getting it started. Allowed all methods, standard mode, request parameter, authorization level. And I click run and I get 404 not found. This is embarrassing. Why is it when I create a new Azure function with F#, I get a 404 not found with the boilerplate, no, with the template function? I'm showing this live on Twitch right now, and your service is not working. Oh wow, is that Rengar Leo? Thank you for the follow. Go to the URL. Okay, so that's what this is supposed to be doing here, but I'll give that a shot. That's a fair suggestion there, Dark Jeepers. The test panel is supposed to be doing exactly that. Why did it do a search? Nope. Let's get rid of that slash. Nope. Exactly, Tony. Azure has the code to test it, right? That's when I click here and I choose run, but it's returning 404 not found. I mean, right? Get function URL. Sure. Right, let's try that location. And name equals Jeff, and that's not doing anything. I'm not getting 404 not found either. Right? Refresh. I'm getting 404 not found navigating to that location. So what the heck? Need to get the function code on the portal. Yep, got it. There is an error while run. Look at... Hey, Fierce Kittens, thank you for the host. Sure. I'm looking in the errors here. No new trace. Nothing in the errors. Even if there was something in the errors, why am I getting an error with boilerplate, literally default code? I mean, come on. All right, well, this kills my whole idea of what we were going to do on the stream here today. What about the monitor tab? That's a lie. That's true, but delayed for 5 minutes, okay. But nothing in Application Insights. Clearly, I'm going here and nothing is showing. Yeah, always nice when Hello World isn't working. Exactly. All right, any of my Azure CDA friends out there? Is Cecil out there? How about Max? I am having a real problem with Azure functions not working with F# default template code right now. Anyone available to help? The GDPR gods have spoken. You could build it in Visual Studio instead, then you'd be able to debug. This isn't even debugging. This isn't even debugging. This is, we've built it, here it is, it's saved, it won't run. We literally did file new project and it does not run. I would run away right now and find something else. No, I'm stubborn, Joe Bun. I'm going to be stubborn about this. Try it again from scratch. Fair enough. And here's the best part of doing this live on stream. If anybody criticizes me that you didn't do that right, I've got complete video that shows exactly what happened. All right, so we're going to create a function. This is a function app. Create, and I will create all new resources for this. GitHub Processing, I'll call it GitHub Processing 2. And short consumption plan, we'll put it in Central US. We'll create new storage, and we'll put it in South Central US. Yes, please pin it to the dashboard. Go. I did it. I did one and it worked. Even if it does work the second time, why didn't it work the first time? Thanks, Crisis. I'm gonna try this again. Yeah, I'm not getting any help, anybody from... Yeah, none of our teams are jumping on this. Hey, you know what? It's fine by me. So here it is, deploying the function app. And we'll put this down here. Right, it's not the Fritzbot Q&A. That's not the one we're working on here. It's this one. Nope, this isn't Service Fabric. Any open issues on Azure support? Nope. Try putting authorization to anonymous. All right, well, so here I am. I am platform features. You were saying authorization. Where is it? Authorization. App settings. Right, I'm running it locally. I should have full access to do this. Runtime version. That's not compelling. Master default, new host key. I'm not doing any of that stuff. So that's where I was. I'm going to create a new function, WebHook, F#, create it. Try setting authorization to anonymous. Where do you see authorization? I'll go to manage. New function key. All methods, mode standard, request parameter name, authorization level. I will set it to anonymous. Let's click run. It's actually doing the restore. It didn't even do this last time. All that stuff down here. None of this stuff was happening previously. So it's clearly doing something that I'm getting unauthorized, even though I set it to anonymous. You saw me do it. I set it to anonymous. How would you ever know to do that? Exactly. That's exactly my problem, S&B. Right? Anonymous. I'm going to go back up here, open this up, look at my logs. I'll click test, post. Okay, now it's working. This one works. The other one didn't even do the restore. Right? And that feels really bad to me. Let me look at that one. GitHub Processing. This one. The first one was a get. Okay, let's take a look. I've tried get and post over here. And now it's not even loading the functions here. Yep, Isaac, we're going to take a look at the other one here and see what's going wrong. Alright, let's open that up. So here is the first trigger, and it didn't even compile when we had it the last time. See, I clicked run and it's not compiling at all, right? And I get the 404, right? So, how am I supposed to know about this? Hey, Nuru Coder, thank you for the follow. Didn't do that, and I'm still getting 404. Change auth on the original one. It's fine. I would expect if I had an auth problem. Where's that auth thing? There it is. I mean, I'm running test from here. My authorization level shouldn't matter. And I would expect to get an unauthorized error if I was unauthorized. Now look at that, it's actually doing the restore. It didn't actually do that restore. It didn't actually build it last time. But I'm the one creating this. I'm the one looking at the web page. Why wasn't I granted access to this? And I agree with the question that S&B asked there. How would I know to do this? Joshua Belden, thank you so much for the follow. Something weird happened, but I think we can continue with that anonymous while Azure Functions F# folks fix that. Good thing I have this on video. I agree. Now I bet you it's going to work now that it actually compiled this. I mean, I literally did file new. Now it works. So the bug that I'm going to report right, and there is a when I create a new Azure function with F#, it does not build and compile the application for me unless I set access to anonymous, even though I created the function in the portal and continued directly into editing the code. Yeah, you better email me about feedback. That's a terrible experience. To the comments that some of the folks made there, it's not discoverable. It's not something that you would know to find. And the fact that authorization is hidden in integrate instead of in an authorize or security here feels hidden as well. So, and why don't I have, right? I'm the one who created this. I'm the admin for my organization. I should have admin access to click run. And now I do. 404, I think, is common practice with lots of Azure services. If you're unauthorized, often they give 404. Fair enough. I got that clue because on Azure Functions, when the authorization code is missing or wrong, it returns 404. Well, good catch, Tony. Points to you. That's the wrong HTTP status code, right? HTTP status code for unauthorized is, it's not 403, 401 is what we're expecting. I should not receive a 404 not found if I am not authorized. Who do we have here? G Somix, thank you for the follow. If I'm not authorized to use an Azure function. Instead, we should receive the more appropriate 401 unauthorized response code. Yes, please email me about that feedback. You're getting 404 because the app never built and wasn't available. I agree, EM Triple. Why wasn't it built when I did file new project? Right, when I did file new function, right? That's a no-brainer. Why didn't it build? And even though I said save and run, it never built. So, fortunately, this is all recorded. And somebody's going to get very angry at me because I'm doing this live and showing an issue. All right. Yep, it should be 401. So, maybe leaking information that a particular resource exists. That's security through obscurity. I'm not a fan of that at all. You know, I get people saying, "Oh, you shouldn't tell people that something exists. They don't want to reveal if anything is there." That's working within, right? This is the difference between being user friendly and being secure. And I think there's an intersection. There's no longer an intersection where those two meet. That we've now become so hyper secure aware that we're not being user friendly in our responses. I can't tell you, oh, that's not the right password, because now I've told somebody that user account exists. I can't tell somebody, oh, sorry, you're not authorized to access this endpoint, because now somebody knows there is something that's listening there. Right? At that point, let's get rid of 401 and 403 and only have 404 code. Heck, let's get rid of 500 HTTP status code because, oh, you know something didn't run properly on the server, and only return 404. I think we've become... And there's bad people out there that take advantage of this. Just return 200 and call it a day. 200 with no response. I like where you're going there, for. What is really weird is you did actually get a your app is ready page. Yes, EM Triple, yes. And we have that on video. It actually wasn't there because it wasn't compiled, hence the 404. I agree with that. Yeah. But I shouldn't have gotten the code, and it should have compiled when I clicked run then. All right, enough arguing and going around on this. So the next thing, now that I've actually got a function app that I can use here, let me get rid of that other one. Let me make sure, right, I called it GitHub Processing 2. Yeah, now I've got all these, things that are associated with that out here. Let's delete this. Delete. Yes. Goodbye. All right, now that's gone. So now if I go back to the first one, this one. So now I'm going to set up the, I'll set it up here in my learning repository. I'm going to set up the webhook. Yeah, add webhook. Payload URL. So I'm going to send it to this address, which is, I guess, function level is what I'm going to have this set to. So where's my URL for this? I'm not going to have a request parameter name like this. It's going to be a post, and it's going to have a secret to come with it. We're going to select individual events. Yeah. I love that your stream shows the kind of yak shaving real devs have to deal with. I don't censor anything. Yeah. Fighting tools, part of developers' life, especially today with web stuff. Yes, I can agree with that as well, Jobon. All right. Where's the URL? Show me the URL. Yeah, now I've got stuff here to show we actually process stuff. Oh, thank you, I appreciate the follow. Look at that, $25.95. We are almost at. We're almost at 2,600. I can count. HTTP trigger F#1. That's a terrible name for this. Can I rename this? Oh, that's right. You can't rename functions. I forgot. You can't rename it, and that feels weird too. Right, so I want an HTTP trigger with F#. Name, there it is. So let's call this GitHub commit processor. Sure. All right. 1 hour and we have Hello World working. Yeah, I know. I am. And nobody should be angry that I showed it on stream. It just should have worked. I agree, Brave Cobra, but that's not how corporate America works. All right, so where is it? I should be able to get the URL for this. Here. Sure, we'll regenerate that key later. And here's the URL we're going to. Content type. Let's pass JSON. That's going to be easier for us to read. And then, all right, whatever. Let me select individual events. So I want to send commits. Git pushes to a repository. Sure. Not project cards. Not deployment. Not branches. Issue comments. No. No. Pull request open, closed, opened, edited, reopened, edited, assigned, unassigned, reviewed, unlabeled, or synchronized. No. Right, I want to capture the merge when something's been committed in here. It has always been the case. Standard dev workflow. Fight with tool, decide if it's a bug, put in workaround with a note to get rid of it if we ever fix it. Tried to get an app work on Azure once, kept giving me a 500, could not find any log info, remote debugging did not work, moved on to another hosting service, never looked back. Sorry to hear that, Jobon. I guess that's all I want is the commit. And it's not even the comments, right? It's a push, and I want the merge also. And I don't see merge here. Commit status updated now. Might be a pull request edit. Maybe. It's yeah. GitHub WebHook on a commit. Let's look at what it says over here. Anytime a commit. No. Any git push to a repository including editing tags or branches, commits via API actions that update references. This is the default event. Okay, I guess that's it. I guess that's all we want is push. Yeah. Alright, payloads. Right, so we're going to have to take a look at the payload here, and parsing this with JSON is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. But the repository, the full name, the owner, yeah, this is what we're going to be pulling apart here. I always use Azure, only need to improve that immediate errors reporting to be more easily discoverable when using the portal. Yeah, a merge will be under a push. Oh, okay, thank you, Matthew Steeples. I encourage anyone running into errors or on services to remember nothing is a black box of failure. True, Thrice Blinded. There's always a reason, you just have to balance how much time you put into figuring it out. Agreed. And the frustration is we literally did new project run and it didn't run. And right, there was 0 feedback. So 4 followers from 2,600. Amazing. Amazing. All right. It is. It's. Thank you for the Thrice Blinded. It does feel frustrating. So I do have my JSON. You know what? Let's just add this. Trigger it and see what happens. Jason Down, thank you for the follow. 3 followers from 2,600. A little more on the nose than most. Fubarius, disagree strongly. This is closed source software. You cannot find out what the problem might be all the time. It's not closed source software. I would say you're working with a hosting platform. And the logging that was being reported, right, in our interaction was not as transparent as it needed to be. I'm not going to throw the open source argument at this. Data library we used last Friday also handles JSON. Looked pretty good. Oh, Digital SoCal, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate you joining us here using your Twitch Prime account. I will match that subscription and we'll send a donation over to our friends at Girl Develop It so that women, underserved minorities can learn how to write code as well. So Digital SoCal, I look forward to seeing you in the chat room. And you now have a C#, you have a .NET bot emote that you can use when you're in chat. Thanks so much. Now we should have gotten a ping coming off of this. Is that me right there? Yeah. Function completed. So success. So I should be able to see over here that ping come through. No, it's not there. Maybe delayed up to 5 minutes. Okay, fine. I'll wait. Read the source. People might not talk to you or be incorrect. Yeah. This isn't a quality stamp. This is about transparency in the platform. I'm not gonna argue about the type of whether open source versus closed source. The fact is, you're not going to see most hosting providers show you all the source for how their hosting platform works, because guess what? That's a security problem. If they showed you everything about how it works. But all of the tools to integrate with Azure are open source. I'm just running into frustration here because the logs and information that are being output aren't being as transparency. Yes, it's a security problem, of course. Security by obscurity. Well, that appears to be the way that people want to go now. And I'm not seeing that ping come through here. But it sure looks like, right, this ran, and I've got a check mark there. I should be able to see the logs off of this. So it posted to that with a ex-GitHub event of ping. So this should probably have not done anything. And wow, look at all that data. You've got the security set to function again on the new function. Right. And I passed the function code into this. So it did deploy the payload, right? And I got a 200 response that says hello, and it didn't return a name with it because there was no name information that went with it. Right, let's go over to monitor and see if we can see it now. There it is. So function started, handled the request, function completed, and interestingly, it's not showing me the, I mean, it's just showing me the result code. It's not showing what was returned. I can see that over here where the webhook was delivered. So if this was the request with the ping, right, so here's the repository information. So thinking this through, the data that I need to collect to build our ticker, right, when this posts, I'll just open a notepad over here. I'm going to need to reach in and go down into repository, and I think I can match on just name. Right, so that's a string. So that'll give me the repository name, and then the commit. Well, here's my created at. So this comes back to the question that we had, 5-minute latency. Well, it's 5 minutes on the log, but I agree that I wish I could see that a little bit more immediately. There's the sender information. The question that we had and we ran into last week was the content for the ticker, the timestamp that goes with it right now. We are, I'm getting the feel for F# S&B. Is that the commits that get, and the timestamp on the commits is when folks made the commit into their repository. The timestamp that's coming through, right? Even if I did the merge today, if you did the commit 3 weeks ago, the timestamp that comes in is 3 weeks ago, not today. So I think I can fix that effectively by making the timestamp for those commits, because they're now being merged now, right? Is let's set the commit date to now, okay? And then we should be able to have some count of those commits in here somewhere, and I don't see it in my sample payload that's being delivered. So I think I need to go back over here, and will it show me what the payload looks like for the push? No. Right, so that was the push. Here it is. So let's see if it shows me this. Oh, okay. So here's the payload. Is there a sample? Oh, look at that. Look at that. All right, so I do still have repository and name. Cool. And then there's all those URLs for all the interactions. Blah, 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 blah. Pusher. That sounds dubious. And then sender. Shouldn't it show me the commits that came in? Created, deleted, forced. Commits. Really, you gave me a payload example that doesn't list any commits. Oh, GitHub. Okay, so commits is an array. An array of commit objects describing the pushed commits. The array includes a maximum of 20 commits. If necessary, you can use the commits API to fetch additional. Boolaw's B, thank you for the follow. Isn't pusher always going to be you? Right now it will be. If we have other folks that are maintainers of the repository, it could be somebody else that's a maintainer. But I kind of agree with you, Brave Cobra. Pusher right now is always going to be me. But if necessary, you can use the commits API to fetch additional commits. Okay. This limit is applied to timeline events only and isn't applied to webhook deliveries. Oh. So on the webhook, I won't have a limit of 20. I'll be able to say, here's how many commits. So I should be able to grab the author off of the first commit, right? And be able to see who the author is to give credit to. Take that whole sample and use it as the sample for the JSON provider to get the CSV style experience with JSON. All right. Let me grab that URL there from Chusk. There it is. JSON type provider, blah, 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 blah. And then I can navigate down it. JSON provider, item.name. Okay, item.age. Okay. That looks pretty cool. Looks like it's going to be pretty easy to work with. Thanks for the tip, Chusk. What I'm going to do so that I can remember this for next time, just so that I've got it available to me, let me go back to that issue that I created over here, and I'll add that into I'll add it into the issue here. Right, using JSON type provider to read data. Cool, so I've got a reference to that. Events types pull request event. I think you want the pull request event when it's closed. You might be onto something. Let's take a look at what that is. Might be a good call from Brave Cobra there. Let's take a look. Pull request event. When it is assigned, unassigned, labeled, unlabeled, opened, edited, closed. Okay, so the question is does the closed event on a pull request also trigger the push? That's the JSON part of the library we used last week. I was going to say that looks familiar. Something to think about is that trying to have it update real time, yes, restrained to 5-minute interval is not really even relevant except for actual commits pushed by you during the stream. Is this really a big deal? You know what, EM Triple? I think so. I think so. I want to make sure that when we're working on stream together here, that folks get that real-time update, right? I want you to feel good that, yes, I merged that, and the numbers update immediately. So I think that's a great feature, and the learning that we're going through to enable that, I think is pretty good. So, very good question. Real world scenario, right? If you weren't building something that you needed to have that real time update, yeah, you could probably wait 5 minutes, no big deal, right? If you were triggering continuous integration, if you were triggering some sort of other process that would fire off of when your commit happens, right? Maybe you have a Trello card that you want to mark as completed or something. I don't know. You know, there are some integration points for it, but this is how you do it. So this is nice to go through and learn the process. And I appreciate you asking the question because it's a very good question that I don't think enough developers think about. They jump right into over-engineering something. So kudos to you, EM Triple, for thinking through that. You want to count the approved pull requests. I think this is an event you want to log in your database. Is it... So... I think you're onto something. Is it the pull request... Does the pull request trigger a push event when it completes? So I think we need to do some testing here to see exactly what gets... which event logs which. It's a very good question, Brave Cobra. Is right, because if if a pull request, right, when it's closed, triggers a push event, I might track it twice. A push clearly comes from me or another contributor. And, right, we want to log those. And then actually, from a business rules question, is somebody opening a pull request, even if it's denied, if they open a pull request that has commits and it's denied, for the purposes of learning here on our stream, even if that code isn't accepted, do we still want to give those folks credit? That's not a bad idea. Let's think about that and come back to that. Right? Because I want to encourage folks, and when I say no to someone, it's like, sorry, you don't get any points for that. But it's I think we need to do a little bit of integration testing. What do you think? So let's go back over to the webhook. And for the purposes of going through and testing, it's a matter of filtering out the right statuses. I agree. But let's see what pushes, right? So I'll turn on the pull request here, and I've already got the push. There it is, push. So let's update so we can take a look at that. Okay. If I click into this one and I redeliver, yep, redeliver it. I should see Azure update and give me, right, some information here. And then we can dig in a little bit further and then start writing some code to parse out exactly what it is we're looking for. Then we can set up some fake commits. And actually, how about some of you out there? This is an open source repository. If you want to put together just a little text file, right? Let me create a folder here. Right, let's create a new file. And let's call this test folder, right? readme.txt. No, readme.md. No, stay here. We're committing some files here to test the webhook and processing with F# on Azure. Send your pull requests with a little text file here to this folder. When we're done our testing, we will delete this folder. All right, and that's fine. Let's create this in a new branch, and we will call this test webhook. All right. So if you're out there and you want to help me test, I don't want to merge it. No, wait a sec. Bad idea. Delete this pull request. Don't merge that. Bad idea. All right. So now if I change over to my test webhook, so there's my test folder. So if you're out there and you want to help put together a pull request, then send me a quick pull request to the F# Learning repository in the test folder on to the test webhook branch, and maybe we'll see your data flow through here when we process the pull requests. All right. So I'm going to go back over here to my processing. If I refresh this, do we see that extra delivery come through? Yeah, that came through right away. Very quick processing. I kind of expect that. So let's take a look at this processor now. Now, who was it? Chusk was saying that this is the same provider we were using last week to work with the data. So I'm just going to wander over here into my test folder, not test folder, data folder. And I should be able to find, what was it? F# data was the name of the package that we used. So let's include that in our application here, right? So how do I include that in my application? No. If I go up here, function app settings. What's this? Host JSON? No, that's not it. So how do I add packages to my function? How do I add packages to an Azure function? Yeah. Frameworks, this is under, you need to create a project JSON with the required NuGet. Yeah, where was that? I feel like I'm floundering here because I can't. Application settings, is it over here? No. Where is it? Now I've angered Azure. It knows we're talking about it. There it is, project JSON. All right. So we'll add F# data. And what was the version number on that? It was 300 beta 3. All right. I like that Control S works to save that. That's pretty good. All right, so now I have the ability to read that data. Let me go back to the source code of it, which is, there it is. So now I've got a request message, I've got a trace writer, so I should be able to read that message. I'm going to go back to that sample code that we had. Not this one. No, here it is. So I don't need that, but yeah, we need to open F# data, and then we're going to start using the JSON provider to parse. Back that up. Go over here. All right. So open f#.data. And I'm not getting IntelliSense. Right? Was it F# data like that? No, capital S. All right. So now do I need a real type? Let's take a look at the JSON provider here. So it's a type, JSON provider, and then it has the format of the JSON there. So do I take some of that sample, try the Git sample further down there's a Git sample, are you kidding? Loading World Bank data, parsing Twitter stream, GitHub issues. Oh, look at that, and it's got a JSON file it's loading on disk. That's not bad, okay. We need to post a JSON value similar to this. The JSON is different from what we got on each issue, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. If I take a look, so this is the push event and what it looks like, and it doesn't show me what those commits are here. Pull request created. Cool, thank you, Brave Cobra. So if we merge, so let's do this. Let's merge Brave Cobra's pull request, right? I'm going to open the settings here so we can see the webhook. Ooh, look at that. Right? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Service timeout. Okay. This is good. So here's the pull request opened. And if I look down here, right? So there's the login, Brave Cobra. Assignees, blah, 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 blah. Where's the commits? I don't see. Well, there's the commits URL. So maybe I trigger something to go fetch that commits because I have the commits URL. Repo. So that's the base. There's the repository. So I can grab the repository. But I already had that up higher. Links. Here's the repository name. Where's the commits? I need to see the commits. Right, so I can count how many commits there are. And there's commits URL, commits, and with an href. What happens if I go to that href? Right, is it more or less telling me, well, there's more matches here. Oh, there we go, look at that. Commits 1. And that's under, I'm trying to follow, that's under base? You can load the JSON as a string. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking we'll do here. And it actually fixes something. I tell you. You folks are too good for me. All right, let's... So this is a pull request create. So let's copy this. Let's copy this payload. Right, so we can configure our type provider. Look at that. Learning the F#. Holy crow, this is ginormous. All right, so I'm going to copy that. Go back over here. Let's add a file, and let's call this propen.json. All right, and I will paste in all of that. And dear Lord, that is beautiful data. All right, let's save that. And let's see, what do we got here? Okay, so if we look now over here, there's the pull request from Brave Cobra. Fixed markdown hint. First line on a markdown document should be a heading. Okay, that's fine. So now when I commit this, right, so we're going to merge, confirm. All right. So now what did it trigger from the webhook? Right? So there's the recent delivery. So let's refresh and see what it shows. That's such a lot of data for what we want to do. It is, but it's very clear about everything that came. The pace of .NET Core development is extremely fast, Stillwater says, and 2.1 is the LTS version, not 2.0. Would you recommend building an entire web application on ASP.NET Core 2.1 or an API with an Angular front end? How you structure your application is up to you. ASP.NET Core 2.1 is extremely fast. It has great performance. It does update quickly, but it does update a little bit slower than Node and some of the other things. And to say that ASP.NET Core development is extremely fast in the same sentence as Angular is like the pot calling the kettle black. Angular is on version 6, and it upgraded to version 6 a year after it released version 2. Version 4 came and went. And it does work very well, right? Angular 6 is a front end, and it works great with all of those. It's up to you. I definitely recommend using ASP.NET Core 2.1. As an LTS version, you're going to be required to apply the patch updates, which means you're going to be required to apply 2.1.1 in order to get support. So here, Brave Cobra, here's what you're saying. Here's the pull request was closed, but was the pull request closed with a merge? Right? Since it's F# Friday, there's a project called Fable that allows you to use F# instead of JavaScript for your front end. Yes, I've seen Fable. I haven't used it. So Brave Cobra, I'm seeing two notifications that went out here. So there's one here for the pull request being closed. And there's another one here for the push with that commit, and there's the author, bravecobra at Gmail. And there's the committer name, and it's not showing me exactly which files, but it's showing me this commit. So I could count the length of the commits here. Right, if we search for commits URL, commits 1. Now, am I in that lower block for the second? For the payload of, this is the payload of the pull request. So I think we want to do the push. Right? Yes, I am a pusher. That sounds terrible. There's information about the repository. Right, there's the repository, but the commits, it looks like I'm just going to be able to do a log on, right, just do a count of what's in the commits array. The gods have finally answered. Still trying to wrap my head around bravecobra's PR. Oh, stop it, EM triple. It does show which files were added, deleted, modified. Yep, modified, there it is. So we could count the files that were modified as well, if we wanted to track that. So it's interesting. I've got people liking and retweeting what I mentioned earlier about having a problem with getting F# functions to work on Azure, and none of the people who can actually do anything about it are responding. I've added a PR to deny. Oh, ooh, that's a good idea too. We can look at that one. But I think the push is still the event we want to look at, because the push has each of the commits logged here. So this was a good experiment, right? So if we write the commits, where are the commits? Oh, they're right off the top. So right in a push notification, WebHook. So repository, if we set the commit date to now, we could then count, if we go commits.length as the number of commits. And then I like what you're saying there, Joban. We can actually track the number of files added, removed, or modified. So if we go commits.added.length plus commits. And I think removing a file is also there. Removed.length. Commits.modified.length. Number of files changed. That's not bad. We can figure out that. You went for adding a file this time. In the mindset of GDPR, should I ask now to be forgotten? Yeah, right? I can't edit the video. I'd have to delete the video, which, right, breaks my order of business. So, all right, so let's take a look then at the second commit that you have. There's the second pull request. So I should have one here. So, right, there's the 4306 that we just did. This is pull request. Pull request, okay. There's Brave Cobra with the pull request. And this is, here's Smab with, is this a file? Okay, so pull request opened, I clearly don't want. Right, for the purposes of my statistics, right? I only care about the ones that are processed. So if we were to use pull request, right, it's not going to give me what I need. Oh, fantastic. Here's PR to deny. So let's deny Brave Cobra's PR here. And look at that. People are even cheering for this. Stobo Robo. Strobo Robo. Thank you, Strobo Robo, for throwing a cheer on this, a hooray. We will deny this request to test the webhook. All right, so close. All right, so I did not merge that one. If I refresh now, so here's pull request closed. So I'm seeing the same thing here, and I don't see commits in this one. And it's not telling me, does it tell me whether it was merged or not? Oh, there it is, merged at null. So I could track, right? I could track, I think the way to go is on the push, because it gives me all of the, oh, there was a merged false? That's what I was looking for. State closed, locked false. Ah, there it is, merged false. Okay, okay. So, I think push, though, allows me to catch everything. Right? So, let's look at the other one. The other pull request here. Is this a file from SMAB? Right, there's one file here. Yes, yes it is. So if I merge that, right? So that's merged. So there's 1151 pull request closed. But I've also got at the exact same time another one here for the push. And there's SMAB's information. Sorry about that. Oh, you've got a no reply at GitHub. Fantastic. And there's the file that was added. And the message. The author. Why am I listed as the author? And the committer. Okay. All right. And it's Webflow that did it. You're the author because I pushed. Yeah. But the committer is here. So, right, so the author information, we're going to go commits author, right? Or, yeah, I think I want to go commits author username. Commits author username, all lowercase. And that's the author will log. There's even lines deleted, added at the bottom. Yeah. Okay. That would be pretty cool to get really low level statistics in the push. Right, so there's the commit. What was added? Was there, I thought you said lines added. I don't see, no, I don't see lines added. Where do you see that, Fubarius? I see commits, I see additions, oh, changed files. I could just grab changed files and be done with it in this, right? That's pull request closed. There's the push. So is there changed files in here? Do you see changed files? Forks count? No, that's about the repository, which I don't really care about. I wish I could drop that information. Yeah, it's not that those statistics aren't here. I think I do need to do the count on that. Yeah. Yeah, I think I need to do the count. I'm the author because I pushed. But on the commit, the author is SMAB there. So that makes sense. I think I just need to go grab, right, the author of the commit. No, the author of the commit to get that. Okay. Does adding and deleting count as changed? So right now we're counting the number of commits is what we count. I think there may be a place at some point in the future to say commits added, right? The number of files added, removed, or modified might be an interesting statistic to look at as well. So let's go with this on the push webhook. Yeah, commits is an array, right? So let's go commits 0, right? Just grab the first commit that's part of this. And we need to do this for each commit. Something like that. All right, so I'm going to turn off pull requests on this. It was a good idea, but I think we've figured out that it's not what we need for this. And that data was pushed over here. I should be able to see now that interaction. Yeah, look at all the interactions there. 2 milliseconds. Yeah, it's not going to show me exactly what happened there. I don't have it would be nice to see the output log over here. But it started, triggered, completed. I'm going to add files and delete them again in the next commit. That'll tally up nicely. Oh, that's a pain. Let's do this. All right. So now let's grab that webhook for the push, right? Was this the push? Yeah. So I'll grab this payload and I will use this. I think I'm going to need to update the added, the commits array there so that I can get a complete type provider. But let's save this now into the repository over here, into the, right, let's add a new file and let's call this push.json. Right, and I'll paste that in. And to make sure that I get my type provider loaded properly, I'm going to duplicate this added entry so that it knows that there's strings down in here. Unless you squash the commits. Probably need to check a push with multiple commits in it. Squash the commits is another good test that we should do, Brave Cobra. Probably need to check a push with multiple commits in it. Yeah, we can do that. Ideally, you'd want to see as few commits into PR as possible. Ideally. And that's where a squash would come in, right? The same schema for both JSON files. I think it looked a little different, right? Because I have in this one after created, deleted, forced, and commits. But if I look at the PR, I don't have right under pull. I have a pull request node, and I don't have a commits block here. It's a good question. Fubarius. There's no commits block here. Some of these elements are the same. They are the same type. I'll agree with you on that. But there's a commits here that's an href. You know, the sender is listed here. Okay. But I think for what we want to accomplish, I think the push is there, and that's what we want to use. All right. So I've got the data, and I can load that into my type provider so that it knows the types, and I should be able to go, all PRs are the same. Yes! But this is push, absolutely. In my fork branch, I do commit often, but in sending a PR, I've been limiting myself to just the one commit so far. That makes that makes it easier for a project maintainer to understand just what was changed instead of having to traverse down everything and figure out what all is going on in there. So I appreciate that. It all depends on what we want to count. What counts as a contribution? Yes. I don't agree on the amount of commits, but prefer the merged branches or PRs. Exactly. This is a very good point that you have there, Brave Cobra. What is the statistic? What's the metric that we're measuring? And I think I've got two different ways to approach it. We can talk further about other values, but for right now, I think I've got the right... for testing right now, I think we've got... Right, for our next step here, I think I've got a nice approach at this point. So I'm going to create a type here called, let's call it push, push WebHook. I think that. And what it told me to do is say JSON provider and then point to that. I like that. All right, so we're going to say JSON provider, and I'm going to refer to push JSON here. Okay, so now I have a type for that, and that's being pushed. Let's look at our webhooks configuration here. To application JSON. So it's a post on it, isn't it? I think it's a post. So, all right, so we're going to get the request message, trace writer. What is the depends you mentioned? I created a PR with multiple commits and cases different. Fantastic. Thank you, Smab, for helping out with that. Points to everybody there who's helping with that. All right, so I don't need the query string, but I do, right, let's look at the various things that I want to grab the repository name. So let's go back to here. All right, so I should be able to say equals GitHub get samples. Where's get samples called? Right, or is this JSON provider against that data type? What points? I have a sound effect that I'm tapping to award to recognize folks. There are some other folks on Twitch that do have a currency in their stream, and depending on how much of that currency you've earned, you can request songs, you can interact different ways with the streamer. Should I be doing my JSON provider against my JSON file, or should I be doing it against the JSON payload that I'm receiving? Right, if I'm loading that into tweet.parse text. Yeah, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to do type.parse and then whatever it is. So let's say, yeah, that's fine. F# HTTP trigger. Let's handling a GitHub WebHook. All right, and let's actually load up. Let webhook equal, and let's say push webhook dot. It was parse, right? Parse. Capital P, parse. All right. And then I want to receive the request dot content dot read as string async. Yeah. First against your file that determines the structure. Yeah, okay. Cool. Cool. I need to get that text back first, don't I? All right. So let's do. So I'm gonna use this exact same syntax here. In fact, I'm just gonna copy it. And then I'll say parse, and then I should be able to parse that data. And now it's in that format. right? Yeah, the let. There you go. Thank you, Dark Jeepers. You're right. I need to do the let bang because I'm doing this asynchronously. All right. Read data from WebHook. All right. So I would have to do multiple pattern matches to get the various things in there, wouldn't I? But all right, so let's say let repository equal webhook. All right, now we've got to traverse this thing. All right, so I'm going to traverse. So I've got the data, so it says sequence filter. Sort by, truncate. So the notes that I had, looks like repository is right on the top, right? So can I just say GitHub WebHook.repository? Now, why didn't that comment all that stuff out? Oops, I went too low. And I want to write the response. So create response, HTTP status code. Okay. Handled push webhook, not webbook, webhook from, and then I should be able to pass in repository, right? And this won't do anything, right? So if I save that, and if we test, right now it just looks like that, right? And if we run that, changed, reloading, an error has occurred. The block following this let is unfinished. Every code block is an expression. Which block? Let repository equal webhook.repository. There's no reason you can't do this in VS Code and fake the data as a string or file whilst you are writing this bit of code. Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, this needs to be a return. Try that again. Script compilation failed. Now that feels bad. Why doesn't it like that? Take a peek at my comment from Fubarius. From Ionide, you'd have IntelliSense now. Alright, so you're doing banana clips there. Why do I need to do banana clips? Right, I've got... Right, webhook is... Right, what should that look like? The comment syntax is... Oh, I had the comment syntax. Ah. Thank you. But I'm still running into this let. And that's not the banana clips, it's the vertical pipe. So why isn't, right, if I do that let to read that, right, so let tweet equals this, Why isn't that let repository equal webhook.repository? Right? I mean, couldn't I go down here, handle push webhook from, and couldn't I say webhook.repository? Function complete, started. Yeah. Error. Lots and lots of errors. Oh boy. The type provider cannot read sample from push.json. Could not find push.json. It's in the folder, dude. It's here. Right? I mean, it's in my current folder. Nope, can't find the file. Why can't it find the file? It's right, it's in my same folder here. Yeah, cool to see D Windows System 32. I know. It's annoying. Now, there was another sample here about using Azure functions. Oh, dear Lord. Function app created in the portal, HTTP function, templating. Precompiled function, suave function packet. It's looking in System 32. Exactly. Why is it looking there instead of in my current folder? Right? That feels terrible. And I have no way to tell what the current folder is when I'm at the time that I'm building this. I have no idea where to even get started searching for that. There's Does an Azure function even have a disk to use apart from the system? It does. No, precompiled function. So I was down here. No. Use a string literal instead. Oh, dear God. I'd have to post the entire thing in there, and it's gigantic. Maybe we could use the source dir instead to find the file. How do we get that? Azure functions and F# type JSON type provider. Do context function app directory. Oh, Brave Cobra. That looks like what I'm looking for. Context dot function app directory. Do I even have context? It needs to be a literal. Yeah. Found it in the above GitHub issue from Brave Cobra. There's a GitHub issue. There it is. Let's see what we got here. Function folder contains data text. It is currently difficult to read that file from function code. Hey, yeah. Node.js can use dir name for relative references. With reference, could you try the following code segment in your script? No. Duplicate of 803. Feature documentation here. Template file is running locally, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, what's the solution? Lost Tragedy, that has the answer. The Stack Overflow. Wrong one. Azure Functions an FJSON type provider. This one. JSON provider, sample.json. And when I do it, I get this. Let sample equal source directory plus sample.json as a literal. Alright. I like it. That makes a lot of sense to me. And let's grab that. And this is push.json, so then my webhook JSON provider against push sample. It's in the docs. Where? Retrieving information about the currently running function. Function directory. Okay. I think we've got it though with this. Let's try the test. See if we get anything. Now it didn't compile. I changed this and it's not compiling. No. No. Cannot read sample JSON from push JSON. Right, I moved it. Seems to be that we need information at compile time, not at runtime, which is where source directory helps us. Is it still the same message? Well, that's from a few minutes ago. This is from almost 10 minutes ago. I just changed the file. And it's not recompiling. Right, if I cut this, save, it's still not recompiling. Paste it back in, save, run, and it's not recompiling. Right? Is it gonna? Nope, not recompiling. Right, these are error messages about lines that don't exist. JSON provider cannot read sample JSON from. This line does not exist. We moved it, we removed it, and it's not running. right? And it's, yeah, it's not picking it up. I mean, it's even underlining this is completely wrong, because it's a commented out block of code, and it's time to reload. I kind of agree with you. The field constructor or member repository is not defined. Okay, we're getting somewhere. So it's telling me way down here that it doesn't know what this is. So, all right. So I think we're good on that, good on that, good on this. So I have the body of the JSON, and it looks like, I'm not sure what the get samples, I don't know what that's calling. Do I need to call get samples? I already called parse on it. Right, I should be able to start walking the hierarchy. Returns the data you used to create the provider. Right, and I've done a parse, like up here, right? Sample is list. So maybe I do need to do... Okay, so wait a sec. You'd use parse on the real data, right? So at this point where I've got the real data, so I'm loading it here. Let webhook equals push webhook dot parse. What about the sample is list in the type provider? Well, part of it is a list. We're not there yet. Right, and you know what, to make this a little bit more complete, the request body that I want to test here, I'm just going to copy the content of this push JSON. And for the purposes of the test, let's paste that in there so it's actually more realistic of what it is we're actually testing. Because what I want to do is I want to reach down not into commits, right, not into that, right, so here's head commit, and there's, okay, so repository is a full object, so I need to go repository.name, and that should be something. Looks like it's doing something. Okay, field constructor or member repository is not defined. So it hasn't... Okay. So I should have the data in this data object here. And when I do push webhook.parse, right, so I'm using that type. So webhook should be... right, should be a push webhook type. I'm not getting any hover over IntelliSense here. Yeah. We do not get tooltips. No. In the editor here. Alright, this should be easy to parse. You don't have the type defined, though. Sure I do, it's right here. Maybe do some logging on what webhook is. Alright, let's do that. Log.info. Let's just punch in webhook. I have a feeling that's where we're going to end up, Brave Cobra. The type, ooh, look at this. JSON provider root is not compatible with the type string format string. So how do I get the type? Don't need if there are no. That's fine though. Still. What do you get from IntelliSense when you do webhook dot? There is no IntelliSense. JSON provider dot root. Maybe use okay. sprintf %a webhook and see what that gives, and then I'm going to comment out this return at the end here. Or you know what? Let's just delete this for right now. Alright, let's see what we get. Now it's reloading. Now it's doing the parsing. Here we go. Function started. Yeah. Handled webhook. Okay, so I got a 200 OK. Hang on. Do that again. Do that one more time. You'll need the log param. Oh, yeah, I'm already doing it with the log parameter. And I seem to have broken it. Ah, there we go. Look at that. Handling a GitHub webhook. Right? And then it's printing all that out. So, okay. Yeah. It is injected. All right. So what if I did, right, if I did webhook.ref. It's %o then. All right, we'll give that a shot in a second. So if we make that %o, does the printed webhook have the repository field? Oh yeah, it does. I just tried grabbing the ref field and it didn't grab it. Ah, the dog is upset. Wonderful. So it's dumping out the entire text of it when I do the %o. She not happy. Right, but if I just try and grab ref, it's not returning it. Right, I should be able to return, right, each one of those things should be turned. Did it capitalize it? Did it capitalize it? Right, sometimes, right, it capitalizes these things. Ref is the first item, so I'm just going to grab that one and see what happens. Right, because it's not showing me ref heads test webhook. That's what it was. It's capitalizing these things behind the scenes on me. Right, so if we say let repository equal webhook dot repository dot name. Right, now I've captured it. So JSON's being nice for us, and it's capitalizing things, and there it is, handled push webhook from F#. Okay, all right. So now I'm starting to get data. And we figured out what the problem was with our data type, and we now know how to load from that data type. Okay, so let's get the other data fields that we need. And we were saying that the author, if we set the commit date to now, I don't need to go through that. But the author is going to be in the first commit's author.username. Yeah, look, it took us this long to figure all this out. Let's author equal webhook commits. Now can I go commit 0? Author username. About from. Let's see if that gives us the content we're looking for. Nope, didn't like it. The value is not a function and cannot be applied. All right, so I think I need to do, right, I need to pipe through sequence, don't I? Right, to get the author and to get that first commit. Right? It's possible for each commit to have a different author. Oh, smab. You're right. You're right. Variable dot. That's what I did. What if the commits are empty? You won't receive it if the commits are empty. Seek try head. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. There we go. So I've got the author's name. So what if there are multiple authors in the commit? Do I grab each one of them and give them each appropriate credit? It's not too bad. Parse each commits authors separately and give each of them appropriate credit. There we go. All right. That took a lot of work to get here, and we're about half hour over time. Here's what I'm going to do. This is saved out there, and it's going to return that response. So it's not completely terrible at this point. It's just mostly terrible. If I go back to the webhook over here, I have a couple pull requests. I have this one with multiple commits from SMAB. So what I'm going to do, and this only knows how to handle this repository. I'm going to do a little bit of research, and I think we need to trick out how this is managed here. Sounds like a group by author and then count. Agreed, SMAB. I don't think we should be counting commits, but PRs. If I want high credit, I would do lots of very little commits. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Yeah. I think you're onto something there. Let's see. For the GitHub statistics that we are tracking? Do we count merged PRs or commits? Now, right here, but this is the other side of that. I would just squash them on merge. There's that. But there's also the question of if I... some PRs are significantly larger than others. So we want to balance that. But not the credit part in the ticker. And we've got the number of files changed as well. That's another... Yeah. What is the correct level of scorekeeping that we should track? This is a good discussion. I think you're onto something there, and I can see both sides of this. All right. But I think we're getting somewhere here, and we definitely need to parse and go over each of the commits, pull those out appropriately. LM Orchard, thank you for the follow. There's a way to get this source code, so we can push this into GitHub, isn't there? Right? How do I get that source code and move it along? Not the settings, no. Download. I don't want app content. Yeah, let's do that. Include app settings, no. Where'd you go? Alright. Number of changes in the PR. Yeah, I think that. It already shows a similar output. Get that via API. Maybe. Alright, so here's this. There's the processor and the source code. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to post this into our F# learning repository. Yeah. And add that. Oh, that feels better. Right, and just make sure there's nothing crazy in there. No, we're good. Alright, git push. And now we'll actually trigger that again. What? Oh, I didn't commit yet. So let's wrap this up. Commit these changes, and then we'll talk about what we learned and figure out what we're going to do moving forward here. Work on the Azure function to track GitHub commit data. And I'll push that. Did you spot the option to download for Visual Studio? Content and Visual Studio project. I don't necessarily want a Visual Studio project, though. No keys in there? Nope, no keys. I want to be able to open and work on it in code. Visual Studio code. So, because I'd prefer to work on it over there than full Visual Studio. Alright, so we've got the code, and actually, if we go back over to... Where'd it go? If we look at our webhook, we should see it actually deploy again for me doing that push, right? Right there. Push from me, and there's the files that I pushed. Haha! That's so meta. If you wanted to debug in Visual Studio locally, you'd want to. I'm not including the app settings. So what's this look like if I bring it down like that? So there's a CS proj. Why is there a CS proj for an F# project? No. A CS proj for an F# project. Get back to me on this. What is that? Functions, function JSON, project JSON, PR JSON, push JSON, host run FSX, and those other things. But it's using C#. Am I right? Can I get a comment on, I've got a CS proj being generated that references, yeah, I know. Mind if I do a properties on this? I mean, my files aren't loaded here. But shouldn't I have an FS proj? I'm not packaging, not debug. Should be fine on their own. It should be an FS proj, yeah. Yeah. Mario, stop. So if I was doing C#, makes perfect sense. I'm not. Downloaded my F# function for Visual Studio, and it incorrectly bundled a C# project, a CS proj file instead of an FS proj file. They're gonna love me today. All right.
And you blew it!
Yeah, you did, Azure. You should have delivered an F# file. All right. So what did we learn today? We learned that the F# tooling here for Azure Functions has a little bit of improvements that it could use. We did learn how to get stuff into our JSON type provider so that we could read through it. And we also saw that the JSON type provider is capitalizing. It's doing init caps on our field names. So that's something that we're going to need to handle. We learned that the push webhook from GitHub contains everything we need about when the commit actually gets added into the repository. But we have a little bit of a question here, and I think rightfully so raised, that a pull request might be a better metric to track participation in the project. So we need to resolve that, and I think that's a very good question for us to resolve. But that's all the time I have for today. I'm really happy with what we learned today, even though we didn't accomplish a lot of things, and we don't have a lot of code that we can show. We have some code running in Azure that's parsing information about what's been pushed, and we can start working on building on that next time. So I hope you join me tomorrow. Tomorrow morning I'm going to go back to some of our C# projects. I've got a lot of pull requests that have come in for Core Wiki and for our stream tools. We're going to take a look at those, and I should have an announcement about Core Wiki and the future of that project tomorrow. Otherwise, folks in Germany, I'm coming your way on Monday. Guten Abend, Deutschland. I'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much.